Welcome back to the 4,147 subscribers to the Raven Space. And today we're going to talk about Roger Rosengarten, a young rookie who had a good season this year, and whether he is good enough to replace Ronnie Stanley at the left tackle position this year. So drop a like for algorithm and let's get into it. First, the answer to that question is no, he's not good enough yet. He's not there yet, but he has a lot of promise.
So you guys see a problem. I see potential.
Now, I bring this up because there's been rumors around the NFL about Ronnie Stanley and his potential to be cut for a couple of reasons. One, his play doesn't command the salary that he gets. In addition to that, we talk about the cap casualties and how to clear space up for the Ravens to improve. And I think Ronnie Stanley is one of the easiest choices because he has a higher cap number, but his play isn't at that level. My opinion is hard to cut a player like Marlon Humphrey or Mark Andrews because their play has been commensurate with their pay. So it's really hard to say, hey, Marlon, you were the number one slot cornerback in football last year. You're gone. Or, hey, Mark Andrews, the last 5 years you've been a top 5 tight end every single year, arguably top 2 tight end for most of those years. We're going to cut you. I think that's hard for me to get with and other Ravens fans to get with as well. Now, I don't think he's good enough to replace Ronnie Stanley when you're at the left tackle position. It's not just about raw talent. You have to be polished. The footwork has to be right consistently, not only because you know that you have the great pass rushers in the NFL, but also there's a lot of scheme things that happen on that left side because it's the blind side of the quarterback. As a result, you want to play over there that has some experience, that knows what to expect, that makes sure that he doesn't have to work on the fundamentals of the game because he has to deal with a lot of the things that are happening that are up and above the fundamentals. A perfect example in the Ravens scheme specifically is that the Ravens usually don't like to bring help over to the left side. So regardless of what you want to say about Ronnie Stanley and his play, it's important to know that play in and play out. He is going one-on-one with usually the best pass rusher on the team. Now, defenses are different now, and if they really do believe they can get past left tackle, they'll switch it up a little bit. But I don't really think teams are doing that much against the Ravens. But we know that Ronnie Stanley is going one-on-one regardless. Most of the time, most of the picks and most of the tight end help and most of that kind of stuff is happening on the right side with the right tackle. Now, again, that you could say that that's just the scheme, but you also could say that the Ravens are believing that Ronnie Stanley is better than Roger Rosengarten. Either way, the left tackle position is a harder position than the right tackle position. It gets less help in the Ravens scheme. It's the blind side of the quarterback. It's just a lot going on over there. And I think Ronnie Stanley is better equipped to play that position right now than Roger Rosengarten. So that brings us to the second question that you may ask after I give you an answer like that. Is Roger Rosengarten good? Did he have a good year? I mean, the answer is yes. If we break down some of the information that we have on him in the tape, you really will see that he made great improvements and great strides over the season. From being his first time playing to what he is at the end of the season, that's 100% true, and we're not going to debate that. But when it comes to him overall as a player, Pro Football Focus gave him a good grade, not a great grade, not a terrible grade, but you can see a good grade. So his offensive grade overall is 66. Again, the colors do mean something. On Pro Football Focus, yellow is average, green is good, blue is great, and so his offensive grade is 66. Total grade 47th of 81 tackles. So he is dead in the middle. At the same time, they're doing different things. And so the left tackles, let's say you take away 32 left tackles, because you would just assume that the left tackles are the better of the tackle. He's here about the 15th best tackle in football again. Right tackle in football, dead in the middle. And so this is what he was last year. He was in dead in the middle, good player when it comes to his pass blocking grade. He was again as dead in the middle as you can get, really 42 out of 80 with a 69.2 grade. These 60 grades are barely passed. Okay. Based on Pro Football Focus rating, because you can see an okay grade is his run blocking grade, which is a 60.4. Now, when we go into the actual detail, we can kind of see some things that are interesting. And the first thing is that he improved throughout the season. He had a bad grade his very first game, which you can expect, especially against the Chiefs. That was a big game. But then continually got better. Again, had a very average stretch. You can see he had some 50s in there. But toward the end of the season, he didn't have any bad grades and had a really good stretch as well from the Chargers to the Steelers. And again, this stretch here at the end of the season does show him having average grades. So it wasn't great. And we're not saying that he's ever played great this season. But we are saying that he's an average to good player. And again, Ronnie Stanley's numbers don't look much better. But Ronnie Stanley has experience. Ronnie Stanley has things that you can't take away from him. And also Ronnie Stanley was just ranked higher. And so when we talk about how good Roger Rosengarten is, we have to take all that to account. He was good, but he was average. Good. He wasn't great. He was an average good starter in the NFL. He's an NFL caliber right tackle, but he's not a great right tackle. And so we can answer the question there is he's good, but that's all he is. He's good. He's a good guy. You can be better. And if the Ravens had other options, they would find other options. So we talked about what he is now. Is he better than the other options? But what can he be in the future? Can he ever become that left tackle? The answer is, of course, because he has shown us one thing, that he's been able to improve over time. And I really do think he is making strides. However, there's a couple of things he does need to work on in order to become that guy. He just has to be better, in my opinion, against speed to power. And that's W hat I have seen that has really caused him a lot of problems. And when we're talking about there is when the defensive player sets you up with a speed move, but then switches it into a bull rush, how quickly can you recover from being in a wide stance to to get to a point where you can stop him from going through your stomach, going through your chest. And that's why I think he struggled with it. Not only because I think he is currently a step slow when it comes to some of the fastest defensive players, but when you have to overcorrect for that, when you know that they could go around you, then you have to kind of get out there quickly, and then they switch it up at the last second. That does cause him some problems. And at the left side, the left tackle position, that's going to be most defenders. Most defenders have the ability to go from speed to power. We're not dealing with one move players. We're not dealing with things like that. And again, even though a lot of defenses do switch it up and will still put some of the better players over there, the Ravens often do a good job of helping out over on that right side. So we haven't really seen him go one-on-one against the very best defenders in the league, which we have seen from Ronnie Stanley. So again, to wrap it up, I do not think he's ready to take Ronnie Stanley, replace Ronnie Stanley, which again puts the Ravens in a position where they have to find someone to release for cap casualty reasons. But if you let go of Ronnie Stanley, I do think you're taking a step back because Roger is not ready to become that left tackle on a consistent basis and play against some of the very best in the league at that position. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below about Roger. Again, we went over his face. He had a good season, but he's just not ready, in my opinion, to be the premier left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. Like, subscribe, and remember, go Ravens.